Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about spoilers and spoiler culture. What the hell, man? You just spoiled the whole video! So before I begin, I'd just like to make the disclaimer that this video, while being about spoilers, actually doesn't contain any spoilers for anything except for one spoiler, and that is the character death at the end of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which I would imagine most of you already know. Anyways, let's begin. Spoilers. We have all encountered them. We have feared them to some extent. To spoil, that is to reveal a major plot point or event in a work of fiction, be it a book, movie, or TV show, before the viewer or reader has experienced that event for themselves. Some would argue that to spoil a piece of fiction is to ruin a piece of fiction. I have agree and I have disagree. Probably the most traumatic spoiler experience for me was when I was 13 years old and at summer camp, and I bet quite a few people have similar experiences. Anyways, I was 13 years old, I was at summer camp, I was out in the field, it was free time, and being the nerdy weird kid that I was, sitting off in the corner reading Harry Potter 4, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. And and I remember I was sitting there, I was halfway through the book, and this kid, and for purposes of this story, I'm just going to refer to him as the villainous bastard who ruined Harry Potter for me. And so anyway, this kid, he came up to me and said, "Just so you know, Cedric Diggory dies." And then he walks off. A killer of fictional moments goes off scot-free. And I remember being so appalled and angry at this kid. Why would he do this? Why would he wish to squander my enjoyment of the book? Now I knew the ending. The surprise was ruined. But ultimately, I didn't stop reading, which I think may have been the villainous bastard who ruined Harry Potter for me's ultimate goal. Because if I remember correctly, he hadn't even read the book. It was some sort of anti-artistic Philistine attack. But had he actually read the book and experienced the ending, he would have known, as I soon discovered, that the book was hardly ruined or spoiled. Because just by knowing what happens at the end doesn't remove the descriptive, contextual, and most importantly, the emotional impact we'll have once experienced. Plus, the death of Cedric Diggory was more haunting in its aftermath than in its build-up and surprise. This was the first character to be killed off in the present timeline of the books. Yeah, Harry's parents had been killed and other people had been killed, but this was the first person from the beginning of the story where we started in the present timeline to be killed off. So this was a monumental shift. This was the shift from Harry Potter being a series for 12-year-olds and younger, and a series that was now becoming for young adults and teenagers and adults. What this death meant was that anyone was a target. Anyone's fate was no longer safe. And knowing that Cedric died before that actually happened didn't dwindle any of its consequential impact once I got there. So on the one hand, the spoiler is now the newest and most common form of social faux pas. And to do it, as in the case of the villainous bastard who ruined Harry Potter for me, did to me, is an act of villainy and an act of insensitivity to art and narrative fiction. That said, I think it's a futile act because rarely does it ever actually squander the enjoyment of a book or a movie or a TV show. In fact, I wonder if our spoiler phobia is somewhat out of control and a bit hysterical. Because by being so overly concerned about spoilers, we're ultimately hindering the cultural conversation and censoring ourselves. We can only talk about a book or movie or TV show so much until we have to start revealing plot details for the discussion to go further. That's why I think a great book review usually simultaneously is able to excite a reader who hasn't read the text yet, while also providing insight for the reader who has. And it's a great balancing act, and one that great reviewers are really good at doing. But in everyday situations, I don't really know how to solve the problem. Also, there seems like there's a time limit on spoiling things, like that there's a moment when something becomes okay to spoil, while other times it's not okay. So, for instance, I think both Harry Potter, now that all the books are out, all the movies are out, and The Sixth Sense, with the big final famous twist, those seem to be fair game to spoil. And I'm not going to spoil them all right now. But, you know, I'd be very surprised, even if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense, to not know what the twist is, because it's come up as a joke in more than one romantic comedy I've seen. And also, I think most famously, it came up in the Lonely Island's Saturday Night Live digital short. So it seems that within the cultural conversation, there is a time when it's okay to start speaking freely about a book or a piece of culture without worrying about spoilers. But how long do you guys think it should be? I don't know the answer to these things, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on them as well. So those are some brief thoughts on spoilers and spoiler culture. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any thoughts or ideas on spoilers and spoiler culture. Have any stories of books or movies being spoiled for you. And yeah, I'd love to hear all of these experiences and ideas down below in the comments. And if you like this video, please like it. And if you really like this video, please subscribe. Until next time, happy reading. Bye. Oh yeah, and one last thing. Darth Vader is Harry Potter's father. Spoiler alert!